You're listening to the 4-Phase Cycle podcast with your hosts, Dr. Alex and Megan of ZESTY Ginger. If you're looking to naturally balance hormones and learn how to work with your body instead of against it, you've definitely come to the right place. As a duo of an integrative MD and a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and best friends, we use the 4 phases of the female cycle in combination with functional lab work and mindset practices to transform the lives of the women we work with.
We also have a whole lot of fun along the way. If you're new around here, it's best to start with season 1 before jumping around and plan to roll up your sleeves. Showing up for ourselves and enjoying our lives is what good health is all about. Just a quick reminder though, this information is not intended to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your doctor before making changes.
Hello everybody, Alex here. We are going to have a short little chat today, and it's not going to be probably what you think, right? So this is unlike most of our titles, When Life Sucks. And you probably know us as women and people who believe that to stand, in your own power as the co-creator of your life experience, your health, your relationships, what you do, what your goals are, all of that, right? And so that is the majority of what we focus on here. So it's obviously unusual for us to have anything that is kind of negatively skewed, right? And I have been feeling like this is something that I wanted to hop on and talk about for a little bit, because myself and I think a lot of people around me, and I know from being on social media and getting all your DMs, your emails, there's a lot going on for a lot of us. And there seems to be enough transition and change. And after the year and a half that we have all had, getting hit with another wave of that potentially, for those of us who are experiencing it, can be really, really challenging, right? And what are our options when it comes to reacting to something like this? And I think that for the most part, you end up seeing reframes, people talking about positivity and gratitude and all of that. And we absolutely believe that too. That is for sure. And, if you are not looking at where you're going instead of what you're trying to get away from, right, it's going to be a long road. And that is absolutely true. However, you've seen Megan and I likely talk already about the concept of toxic positivity and our take on that. And there's no amount of positive mindset and meditation and journaling and hypnosis and tapping and going on like all those things are amazing. And sometimes people end up using that to force themselves into feeling a certain way and sort of sidestepping or blowing through or stuffing down emotions and things that are coming up. And also, what we see a lot of, and we have certainly done ourselves, is then beating ourselves up for not being able to get to a positive place in spite of, quote, knowing better, whatever that means, right? And sometimes what happens is that the more you understand about yourself and the more you stand as the kind of responsible party in your life and you say, I take 100% responsibility for what I am doing, right? It's not that we take responsibility for other people, but my role in that and what's happening in my life. It's very powerful, but sometimes it can get a little skewed, especially when life gets hard and we're like, oh, maybe if I just did this, I'll feel better. Maybe if I do this or I approach it this way, then that'll start working, right? And of course, that sort of exploration is really important. Of course, that stuff is crucial for growth and discovery and up-leveling and all of that stuff. And it is my current belief And, take this with a grain of salt. If it doesn't apply to you, if it doesn't speak to you, cool, don't worry about it. You can turn this off. And if it does, what does it look like to acknowledge where we're at and then not make ourselves wrong for experiencing that way, and not even make ourselves wrong for not being able to shift it every single time or in that particular moment. And I will say right now, the reason that I'm talking about this is that I've been having that where I was really like, I'm still, this transition, I want it to go a certain way. Here's what I'm doing. Here's how I'm showing up, right? You take the massive action, you get aligned, all those things. And I do believe those things are great and crucial and all of that. And it's just sometimes going the way that it's going, and there's not more always to do there. And in fact, sometimes we can burn ourselves out and really get down on ourselves, which is what I ended up doing, where we then are really miserable in the process of it, right? So then we begin to multiply and augment already being unhappy with what's happening, which just sometimes happens in lifing, and then, adding a whole bunch of stuff on top of that and really being judgmental about ourselves doesn't make it feel any better, right? It doesn't make the time go by any faster. So, this is where I'm going to share my takeaway currently. And my takeaway in the recent months and weeks, and really it has kind of culminated, in the recent past, is that sometimes there's a time and a place for just hanging out and doing the things that are even slightly more fun to you than whatever you got going on, right? And I am with you if you are in the place where you're like, but Alex, I don't like where I am, so it's not fun. And I hear you. I'm absolutely with you. That's why when people are like, oh yeah, like joy and do that, sometimes we're just a little too far away from that. Now, most of us have ups and downs where, you can access it sometimes, and if you can, great. And if you can't, this is where I think that this is where it comes in, because I think to say, out of the things that are available to me now, what sounds the best, and then doing that. And most of the time, it's not self development, right? It's things like binge watching something, or going out with a friend and having a glass of wine, or getting some tea, having a chai latte, whatever it is you do, going on a hike, going kayaking. I'm literally making things up, but anything that counts as fun for you, even if you're like, I'm just going to lay in bed and take a nap and rest and not force myself to be any other different way than I really am, I invite you to consider it, right? For all of us, it's going to be different things. And sometimes I've been in places where you're on a roll and you really got a good thing going, and it's on the up and up. Awesome. And sometimes I've noticed that you can really start to spin your wheels, and knowing what you know about self-development and choosing, moving through emotions and all of the stuff that we talk about on here, sometimes that you can give that a rest too, right? And you certainly don't need my permission to. I'm just inviting you to consider, what does this look like for you? Because I think we can take it a little too far sometimes in applying the responsibility and what that really means. Now, that's not to say we're not taking responsibility for what's happening and what we're doing, but it's almost like the ability to take responsibility to say, there's not more I need to do now. And it would be irresponsible of me to waste my time, energy, hopes, dreams, all of that stuff that goes into it on something that's going to spin my wheels. What would it look like to just stop? Don't do any of that. you know, maybe not even massive action if you don't feel called to do anything, right? What would it look like to stop the everything and just do the things that like you enjoy filling up the time with? And I almost said joyfully, and if usually if you're in this place, it's because we're not really in the place where it's easy to access joy, maybe sometimes and maybe sometimes not. And so it's more just enjoyment, right? How do you fill the time? Now, the more that you've been type A and conditioned to work really hard and, be everything to everyone and be high functioning and carry the load for people, this is probably way harder for you than when we talk about like, here are processes to do, here's a 7-step process, right, for our Health Transformation Accelerated program. We all know the women that we work with, it's not that they don't show up, they're not committed, they don't take action. You absolutely do. Most of us actually need more allowance to do a little bit less at times, and sometimes a whole lot less. So I will share, I was very frustrated today, and I met with one of my coaches, and when we talked about this, and I was sharing these thoughts, and she was encouraging me to sort of follow them through. And so even though I have had a pretty full to-do list today, I decided to intersperse the day with random things that I think are fun. So one is in the morning, I ate a snack and I put on a TV show that was mindless and I drew a picture. Now I've colored like in the adult coloring books. I don't remember the last time I actually just like drew a picture just because I felt like drawing a picture. And so I just did that because it sounded kind of fun at the time. It wasn't like the most fun thing I've ever done, and certainly not the thing I want to be doing all the time. And it was fun for now. I mean, it's raining today, so I can't go on a walk. So these are the type of things that I'm talking about. And then did some stuff, did some work, took care of some things that needed to happen today, and then I took a bath, right? Had some more meetings. I'm recording this podcast. I'm going to go do some other stuff. And then we're going to have our first live call for HTA, right, for the program. And so I'm going to do that. These things, the more I do them, I'm slowly starting to come around from where I've been, which is like, yeah, you focus on fun and you are in the creation mode, right? Like it's fun to create. It's fun to see new things coming into your life. It's fun to be like, whoa, I said I wanted that and I am living it now and I have so much gratitude for that. I love that stuff. I want to do that all the time. And life seems to go in seasons, right? Not everything is just speed ahead. I personally struggle with that. I still do. And I'm really beginning to focus mostly out of necessity because I've realized this is not the season per se that I will be, running as fast as I can. But I think that this kind of stuff happens for that insight, right? And as much as it pains me to say that because I'm like, I didn't sign up for that, right? And if you're feeling me on this, like, I'm with you. And I've also realized that doing more of that and then being like, what's wrong with me that I can't get that now to happen is not helping me in any way. It's certainly not speeding things along from like a, manifestation perspective. Feeling crappy about it does not help from that. There's no logical reason to do that because if you have to wait, and that, just from purely 3D conventional sense, if you just have to wait or something still needs to unfold, making yourself miserable in the waiting period isn't helpful. So it doesn't even really matter what belief pattern or belief structure you ascribe to. The result is the same. Making yourself miserable in the process, not helpful, though so easy for so many of us to go down that road. Holy cow. I mean, like, I can say that, and half the time I'm still like, no, but seriously, I'm willing to do the work, right? And I'll do stuff, even mentally doing stuff, thinking about it, arguing about it, cursing the heavens on why this is happening. All of that counts as doing. And certainly the having fun is doing, but it changes the experience because you're not making then the argument of, look at all this stuff I've been working on and it's still not changing, which is what I was getting into. Whereas now I'm like, if this is unfolding and I'm having fun, then I'm not complaining that, I'm so busy doing the work and it's not getting better, right? That strategy, I tried it. Megan and I try a lot of things, and we'll guinea pig and share on here. And I don't recommend it. It didn't get me farther along. It just made me super duper frustrated. And you can probably hear that. So, my invitation, just consider, what does that look like for you if you are here? And if you're not, cool, awesome, that's cool. What does it look like for you to step back and say, out of the things I can have choices about, even if it's, I know, not my final destination, out of this stuff, what is the best, most fun, most supportive thing I get to do right now, right? It can be free, it can be easy, it can be putting on a song and dancing. There's just 1,000,010 things that people like doing. So, just pick one that jives with you. People like go and shoot guns. This is not a judgment call about what you pick, but it's the invitation to consider, if you are in a period of transition and things are still unfolding, what's the fun in the waiting period look like for you? Knowing that day by day that can look completely different, and some days we might feel completely different and we're on a different wavelength, and we are available to do all those other things and focus on what we want, and all of that is amazing. I never truly take my eye off where I'm going, what I choose, and what I want. It's simply saying, I trust in that, I believe that I will have it enough that even if I have to wait for it now, even if I'm not living it right this second, I won't make myself miserable in the process as a way of undermining, it's essentially the belief, maybe I won't get there. That's where if I try hard enough and I make myself miserable enough, maybe then I can guarantee I will. Right? And that's questionable depending on your beliefs, how well you think that works. And mine personally, not that much. So when I keep my eye on it and I say, I'm still going that way on the path, it just really ends up being like, oh, look, there's some flowers on the side of the road. I don't have anything else going on. Why don't I sniff them? Right. Or maybe we have a lot going on and you can still be like, let me just take a little break, check out these flowers. Fit it to your personal situation. I know we all have a whole bunch of different things going on in our lives. But that concept, just mull it over, consider it, and ask, what would be a fun way for me to experience myself right now? And then the best part is you just get to go do it. Not because someone told you to, not because it's going to do something for you, not because it's going to help you get what you want, not because it's self-development, not because you're growing as a human being and a, cosmic being. None of that. It's just for you right now, just for fun. Which is, for many of us, just such a crazy novel concept to begin with, even when things are going well, that to do that when things are not going well seems absolutely batshit crazy. But if you feel like you've tried everything, maybe this is the kind of thing you haven't actually tried. I know that was true for me. I was like, I can give you a list of all the things I've done. And someone's like, what about having fun? I was like, definitely didn't try that. Doesn't sound like fun to go, knock off when I don't have the things I want. But let me tell you, I'm starting to come around, and I'll be updating because I think this is something that's really important and it's key, and I haven't completely wrapped my head around it because I haven't lived it to the full extent, I believe. But I'll keep you all updated, right? And I would love to hear from you. So pop into our DMs, our on Instagram or at zesty_ginger. Would love to hear what your thoughts are around this. Just love to hear even just ideas. If you take a screenshot of this, share ideas of what you do for fun, because as we'll reshare them, right? And then all of us can begin to have even more ideas. What are the things that people are doing, and how can that cause us to think of new ways of being and new ways of interacting with ourselves? And that is how we can all help each other throughout this time, right? It's not just about us meeting our needs, it's acknowledging that there's lots of us and we all depend on that connection and love and unity together to thrive. So let's share, let's chat. Would love to hear from you. I'll catch you on the next podcast episode.
Thanks for coming out to hang with us on the podcast. It is our goal to transform the way women are treated in healthcare. And we need your help. We need your help to get the word out. We have a lofty goal of 1 million downloads. And we know that as this podcast grows, we're going to be able to reach more women, get more amazing speakers for you, and bring the most cutting edge information.
If you found these podclasses helpful, please take a moment to text 5 women you know the link to the series. We appreciate your help so much. Can't wait to see you next time.